My early years were tinted with warmth but subtle isolation. It wasn't abandonment, but it was caution. I wasn't mistreated, but I was watched, silently. My presence changed the air too much. I did not understand why my joy made the adults whisper, or why my natural impulses needed to be hidden. I knew I wasn't bad, and I knew I wasn't wrong, but I knew I was too much. She was always different, but not in the way we first feared. She wasn't loud, she wasn't disobedient. She was too quiet, too still. Sometimes for someone who was so small. At night, we would check on her. She would be mumbling in bed, just barely awake, and tracing circles over her blanket with her finger. I would notice the walls shimmering, almost like invisible glyphs were hovering or trying to burn through the air itself. One time she was playing outside with stones, building a shape, and suddenly 3 birds fell from the sky. All 3 were dead. Amira stood up, confused, but not scared. Her father rushed outside, looked at her, looked at the birds, then slowly gathered them up into a cloth. Once she was crying so hard after falling that thunder cracked above the house. The skies had been clear all day, and yet the wind picked up, the trees were blowing, and a cold rain came fast and furious. And by the time that she calmed down, it all stopped, just like that. She was always drawn to the river. There was a stream near the edge of our house. She was too young to swim, too small to go alone, and yet I would find her standing there, barefoot, whispering to the water. One time she placed both of her hands to the surface of the river, and the water went so still. It didn't ripple. It listened. We had a neighbor once who refused to enter the house. She said she felt something watching her through Amira. She said, "That one's been marked." I didn't understand what she meant, but I remembered the way Amira looked at her. Not angry, not afraid, just with a knowing. At night she would sit by the hearth, and she was speaking to the fire. But it wasn't nonsense, not babble. She was talking to it. And the fire, it moved. The flame bent towards her, as if it was listening to her. It curled towards her, and I saw blue at the tips of the flame. And Amira just turned to me and said, "The flame says I'm its sister." I did not say a word. I just left the room. That night I called the priest to come and bless the hearth. I did not allow Amira to sit by the fire again. and after that she began to speak to candles instead. And then I remembered my mother, the blue flame, the bowl of water, the way she used to whisper to the wind. I thought it was just imagination, until I remembered things I had pushed away and buried. My own mother did the same things. The fire would flare or soften in her response, too. She would be so calm around it, but it terrified me. Not of the flame, but how calm my mother was around it. One time, the flame turned blue, and my mother said, "That means the gate is open." I saw my mother walk barefoot at night, and a soft golden orb followed her like a silent companion. She called it a watcher. She wasn't scared of it. It was like she knew it. I told someone at school about it, and a man came to the house and gave my mother some medicine to take. I soon learned that certain truths must be sealed, that it was dangerous to be seen loving the unseen. One time, she placed a bowl of water in front of a mirror and spoke a word into it. I saw the water shift, and she told me, "You're not ready yet, but one day, if you feel it in your throat, don't silence it." It scared me, but when I was 12, I felt it in my throat, and I pushed it down, and I silenced it so hard that I forgot that it ever happened until Amira was born. But when Amira sat by that flame, when she whispered to it, I saw my mother's face in hers. And I hear her voice, what she said to me years ago. "If the wind listens to you, don't let the priests find out." And all the things I had buried came rushing up through the floorboards. And I knew then, if I didn't stop it, she would walk the same path. And that path terrified me. There was a priest in the village who visited our home. A relative brought him. He called himself a visiting practitioner, but in actuality, he was a false grid seer. He visited the village under the guise of seasonal inspection, but really, he came because of the signal in the field. The moment the fire turned blue, that was the signal. My mother was remembering her buried past, and a pulse was sent through the field. And men like him, who are sensitive to monitoring flame, heard it. He observed me for less than an hour and said, "This one needs structure." My parents did not know what to do with me because I spoke to the wind. I could sit like a stone. I could hum tones that made animals freeze. And I drew symbols I should not know. So I was sent to the temple, where they sent flame-marked children under the assumption they could correct me. My parents loved me, but they also feared me. My mother had already silenced her own dreams. My father had once whispered to birds and they came, until he was made to feel foolish. So when I began humming and the wind listened, they didn't celebrate. They got nervous. They feared what would open. Because when my grandmother had done it, things came through the veil, and not all of them was kind. They believed they were protecting me, but what they truly feared was what I would awaken in them. The morning I left, my mother braided my hair. She whispered, "Be still, be safe, don't show them everything." And this is the moment that locked my instinct to hold back and not show my full flame around others. I would curl my fingers to hide my glyphs. I would hum under my breath. I stopped spinning the stones in the dirt. They did not say goodbye properly. They spoke of duty. They avoided my eyes. But I did not feel blame, only sorrow for what they forgot to remember. I carried the forgotten promise they once made when they chose to conceive me, to guard the light when it returned to the bloodline. And they broke that vow, but I would keep my part.